is getting more and more hooked up by the executive. So it's no longer a free arm of the government that we're expecting. And we saw that in the last election. The effort they made to explain to us why the election we had was a wonderful one. And all the arguments, all the evidence that shows plainly the irregularities were swept away, were not accepted, were not acceptable. And we were supposed to, even those of us who are not lawyers, we're asking, for goodness sake, what is happening here? Now, I think, I don't know, what I'm hearing is that according to our constitution, it is the National Assembly that should put forward suggestions to improve
the constitution,
the electoral laws.
Electoral laws, okay.
But that the present National Assembly as constituted is made up of people who are there through taking advantage of the loopholes in our constitution for elections. And they don't want to block those loopholes. They want the constitution to continue to be what it is now, so that you don't have to depend on the people's will to get into power, but rather continue with the system of political gerrymandering. Even the whole question of political parties has become a joke. And so we need to see how we can liberate the Independent National Electoral Commission from the control of government. We need to they need to open up the ground for participation in the elections in terms of political parties and independent candidates. When we talk of independent candidates, my mind is not going to an independent presidential candidate. My mind goes to independent candidates at lower levels.
The legislature.
And especially local government.
Local government.
Yeah, I can, when open the gate for the independent candidate, I can easily see a local government where a good man comes up and the people say, it is you we want to be our local government chairman, and you vote for him without reference to any political party. We need that. We need that. Where fight will go up towards the level of governors and presidents, it is time will say. But the technicalities of elections, one gentleman was talking on television today, said, okay, it's important, we will say that we should make sure that by law, electoral results will be transmitted in real time. Like he said, you can say that if you like, but if the INEC is not independent, even the technology will not be independent.
Jamina, some of the things you're suggesting will need a constitutional amendment.
That's what I'm saying.
And I am asking, we've been on this constitutional amendment by the legislature for decades, for so many years. A new legislature comes, they start the constitutional, they spend money, do this and do that.
They are on it now.
At the end of the tenure, nothing happens. Are you one of those who are saying there should be something like a constitutional conference, independent of the legislature as we have it now, the executive as we have it now, but a conference that will be all-encompassing for Nigerians to really say, this is how we want to be led?
The present rule in our constitution, which says this constitution can only be amended on the basis of the National Assembly, it is a decision that the Nigerian Constitution has put there. But we do know that that's not the only way out. That's not the only way out. And we are also aware now that relying on that, we are not going to, it's not going to get us into, we are not be able to get a real change in our Constitution, relying on the people who are presently in the National Assembly that are there on the basis of this warped Constitution. It's a vicious circle. You are asking them to legislate themselves out of power.
And they're not interested in doing that.
Well, how actually they be interested? In fact, the major element is that in Nigerian politics now is that you want to retain power by hook or by crook. To retain power, that is the important thing. Not even to govern. You can see that now that election is in 2027. The government that should be governing is busy already politicking.
Talking about
power.
2027.
They are not talking about governance. They are talking about how we are governed. So, and people go into politics to capture power.
So how do we...
That has to change.
How do we convoke this kind of conference?
How that will change, I don't. How that will change peacefully, I don't know. How that will change peacefully, I don't know. It is possible for it to change peacefully. The only way it will change peacefully is if we have a government that decides to change things, and that is not as intent on holding power. We have been hearing severally a comparison being made between our present president and President Musa Yar'Adua. That when President Musa Yar'Adua was elected, he looked at the results. He won all right, but he says this is not a good election.
That there was something wrong.
There's something wrong with it. And he immediately set up an independent group to look into the electoral process to change certain things. The so famous Waste Commission, which came out with some very important suggestions that have been put aside since then. Was that the mood of our present president after the long legal battle of the Supreme Court judgment? No. This is Emilokan. This is my turn. How has it become his turn? Only they know. Since when did Nigeria become what?
Turn by turn.
People take. Who are these people who are taking it now? Which turn? Whose turn is which turn? No? He still repeated the Emilokan philosophy in Ibadan this week. Yeah, that is just, and that is enjoying it. They don't seem to see that this whole Emilokan philosophy cannot carry a nation forward. And after your turn, what happens?